So the story centers around the question of what are quantum computers, but especially when will we see applications that are really at scale, applications that allow to change society. What is the roadmap and what are the main roadblocks that need to be addressed in order for this to happen. The reason why I'm showing this slide is because I think it was at the beginning of April, with a team of Algorithmiq, we asked this question by organizing an unconference called Quantum Now in Lapland. So we brought together innovators, researchers, scientists from academia, from startup world, and from companies such as IBM, Google, and AWS. And we brainstormed, we tried to figure out really where do we have to focus our efforts? What are the key points and roadblocks? We fought a lot, we had a lot of ideas, but at the same time, we were in Finnish Lapland, so during the night we experienced these amazing shows of northern lights. And this is a picture of me. I'm here standing on a frozen lake and in the middle of nature. And what you can't see in this picture is what I was feeling, what we were feeling when we were confronted with this incredible, spectacular show of nature. This was a feeling really of amazement and awe. And the reason why I'm talking now is because this is exactly what I felt 32 years ago when I decided to study physics and to start my career as a quantum physicist, because I was driven by the desire to understand the law of natures, and in particular, to understand the most fundamental theories of all, that is, quantum physics and quantum mechanics. I like a lot a quote from Nobel laureate Anthony Leggett, and he says that quantum physics is very much more than just a theory. It's a completely new way of looking at the world, involving a change in paradigm, perhaps more radical than any other in the history of human thought. And this is true. The behavior of the constituents of matters, atoms and electrons, which create the technologies, quantum technology that we've been hearing here today, is so spectacular, is so incredible. We know that microscopic particles can pass through solid walls, a phenomenon known as quantum tunneling. We know that they can be at different places at the same time, in different states at the same time, here and there, up and down. And this is something which is used in the qubit, quantum bits, carriers of information. And we know that particles, two particles, can be correlated in such a strong way that they lose their individual identity. They become one thing, no matter how far apart they are. One can be here, the other one can be at the end of the universe. This is known as quantum entanglement. And my colleagues here, they mentioned how these properties are at the basis of these new technologies that are quantum technologies. Now, what has happened in history is that initially this beautiful theory was just a theory. Richard Feynman has been cited already before, used to say that nature imagination is so much greater than man's, she's never going to let us relax. And I think so. It is really deeply true. But what happens next is that you use this theory to create new innovations. And this started really in the time in which it was realized that really physical objects, building blocks really of the universe, of matter and light, can encode information, bits of information, and therefore they can encode quantum information as well, because they have quantum properties at the very beginning. So this really led to what we know as quantum information theory and quantum computation, because if we are processing quantum information, we have a modality of computation that is completely different with respect to what we have before. These are quantum computers. Quantum computers are not just faster than classical computers. They are not simply more powerful than classical computers. They are different, and importantly, they can solve certain problems, not all of the problems, but just certain problems which can't be solved otherwise. So, of course, one of the questions is, what are those problems? What are the most impactful problems that need to be addressed or can be addressed by quantum computers, therefore really revolutionizing our society and our technology? Well, the main Sorry, there is something here. And before I give you, and before I go towards the topic of my presentation, which is of course healthcare and life sciences, there is one more observation to be made, and this is the fact that at the very beginning of the theory, even the founding fathers speculated that perhaps quantum physics could be at the basis of the understanding of life. One of the biggest mysteries of our time, still unsolved. Perhaps quantum physics may have a role in understanding life. And interestingly, quantum simulations can be viewed and understood in terms of mimicking in a controllable manner using quantum objects, other quantum objects like molecules. When we think in terms of understanding chemical reactions or binding properties, the key behind is that we use controllably the building blocks of nature to mimic other phenomena in quantum physics. This is what we call as quantum simulation. It's really using nature to simulate nature in a way. And the step forward of quantum computers was to do this in a programmable manner. So not just to control the individual building blocks, but make it programmable so that you can have wide classes of simulators. This is what we have. So today we do have quantum computers. They are available on the cloud. We know that they are noisy, imperfect, and we do have techniques to somehow modify or eliminate from some points of view the noise, the errors that come from these imperfections. A little bit like what you do when you use your noise cancelling headphones, right? So you have some technologies that allow to cancel some of the errors and bring back, in the case of quantum computers, the full quantum power of the simulations. So this is what we use and what we develop also at Algorithmiq. But importantly, all the techniques that exist today, the techniques that we develop, the techniques that Algorithmiq as a software company is bringing to the market are techniques that are hybrid. So the word hybrid will come over and over again, and it simply means that what you combine in a really seamless way are quantum software, quantum algorithms, and classical techniques. So you have to use at the moment both, not only to, if you want, mitigate noise, but also to complement what you can do with quantum computers with what you can do with classical computer. And the example of tensor network is excellent. Tensor networks are classical methods that have been developed to describe quantum objects, but that of course have certain limitations. After a certain point, you need the full power of quantum computers in order to describe the behavior. So why healthcare and life sciences? Why did we decide to use or to apply the power of quantum computers in the hybrid framework to healthcare and life sciences? Well, because we know that this is a vertical, this is a field where we have a serious R&D challenge. If you think in terms of drug discovery and development, it is well known that despite tenfold increase in the R&D efforts, the number of new molecular entities, new drugs brought to markets remains approximately the same over the year. Moreover, it is well known that 90% of drugs fail to cure 50% of people they treat. These numbers are just indicative, but what they mean, the underlying message that they give us is that we really need to develop a more complex understanding of the mechanisms that are really importantly at play when we try to understand health and disease. So nowadays it is understood that health and disease can be or must be seen in the context of the complex interactions between molecules inside the body, inside the cells, and their surrounding. This is key. And what we do at Algorithmiq is we have developed and pioneered a framework that we call quantum network medicine. This framework combines a data science approach to the complexity of the cell biology, so using data such as protein-protein interaction networks, metabolite interaction networks, the so-called omic data, combined with quantum computers whenever they are needed. So to give context to the cell biology, we first understand statistically by using network medicine, network biology, and bioinformatic methods, say for a given disease, which proteins should be targeted because they may lead to a cure and which instead may lead to toxicities. These are methods that are classical or in some cases quantum inspired, but they do not need a quantum computer. Specifically, they do not need it now. Maybe in the future, in the fault-tolerant era, this would happen. And then we use machine learning approaches like AlphaFold to really understand the structure of the proteins. And finally, we use the quantum computer to do what quantum computers are good at. For example, simulating ab initio, the binding of small molecules or small drugs to protein pockets. Okay? And this is something that, it was mentioned before already, can be done ab initio, so you don't need training data sets, and therefore allows to understand the mechanisms. So we need to understand the mechanisms that lead to certain diseases and to the cures. And this is what quantum computers can do. So it's a full hybrid approach that we bring forward. And we work with clients and partners such as Cleveland Clinic. Cleveland Clinic, for example, has bought and possesses a quantum computer in their own premises. And one of the examples of studies that we are doing with them has to do with photodynamic therapy for cancer treatment in the hybrid framework. And our platform, Aurora, combines machine learning, network theory approaches, and quantum algorithms to create what is our vision, that is a transferable pipeline for clinician and medical scientists that allows to simulate in silico, not just using HPC computers, but combining the best HPC and quantum techniques and methods. So overall, at Algorithmiq, we are bringing quantum to life, but also we believe that along the way, we will be perhaps tackling or gaining some understanding to some very fundamental questions, such as the connection between quantum physics and life itself, therefore opening up new understanding to what has been one of the leading questions of humanity since the beginning of times. Thank you for listening.